Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Too Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited. Today I've got actor, writer, director, George Barron. So welcome, George.
Hello.
Newly director. All right,
Sure.
that was your first one?
Yeah, this is my first feature. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. So I want to talk about it, but before we get into that, let's talk about you a little bit. Tell me what got you into acting. Why'd you want to become an actor or go into the entertainment business? That's a tough business.
Yeah. Um, I think it really started out for me with theater. I think that was always like my first love.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of saw like film and television as an extension of that. For me, though, when I was younger, it really was the acting thing sort of came secondary because what came very naturally to me first was to like uh set up scenes with my friends and like have them act stuff out or film my my dolls and my action figures like in a movie together.
Oh,
And
that.
then I would have to like voice the characters and stuff, so the acting thing kind of swept in second.
Yeah. So you've always had that kind of bigger picture view.
Yeah.
You're in front of the camera acting. Your mind is more behind the camera. Let's say.
Yeah, I think I'm constantly thinking about, especially like whether I'm acting for somebody else or if I'm like acting, on a project that I'm doing, or even if I'm not like I'm just directing or whatever. Like I think I'm always thinking about the bigger
Yeah.
picture always, and like detail is very important to me, especially in like production design and costumes. So I would say I'm very hands-on when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And I love the fact that you're making things with action figures, dolls, that type of thing. I mean, I grew up playing and using my imagination most of the time. I think those are great ways, especially when you're learning your craft, of just getting something on film and using your imagination, and you can make some pretty cool stuff, with the and we've seen, if you look at like Robot Chicken, that type of stuff, you can do some good stuff just with it, a handful of action figures. It's pretty great. So I kind of love that you started out that way.
Yeah, and you can also do great stuff just like with your iPhone or your
Yeah.
computer. I mean, people have made wonderful films like that. So there's the possibilities are endless, and I think it seems very daunting to a lot of people who are starting out in filmmaking. Like I was very lucky to like have a production for
Yeah.
my first feature, like, which is unheard of.
That's not usually how it works.
Right. So I'm very lucky in that regard, but I think people kind of don't let themselves start out small in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it seems like the bigger production stuff seems like intimidating. It feels like that's like what you have to do, you
Right.
know. But I think there's so much joy in like truly experimental filmmaking as well, which is something that I would really like to do in the future. Like I would love to shoot a film on VHS. Like
That'd be awesome.
kill to shoot like a DIY film on VHS, and I have no idea what it would be about, but I know I want to do that one day.
Yeah, I love that. My son that does the podcast with me, he was in film school, and they film school. The first assignment is always you have to make a short film. No sound. It's just a short film. So in his film, it was a group of a guy calls over his friends to help him build a shelf, and in the process of building this shelf, they accidentally attach it to one of the friends. They like build him into the shelf. Well, so then the rest of the film is just he's a shelf now. So they just treat him as a shelf. And then so it sounds stupid. It was so funny. Like it had one of them walks home from they come in the door from work and you see them just throwing their keys like they're throwing in onto a shelf, and it just hits their buddy in the chest, because he's the shelf. And then at the end of it, they just put him out on the curb, because they're getting a new and they get a new shelf.
That's
Did you start that way? Did you start more of the short film variety?
I started in theater.
Yeah.
I was directing theater productions. When I was 8, I was discovered by David Arquette, who
Really?
helped produce a musical that I directed when I was 8 in LA.
Were
And
you going to act in something he was doing? How did you run into him?
I don't know how I think yeah, I wasn't gonna act in anything. It was very much one of those like just sort of like kismet,
Yeah.
like off the street sort of things. So he definitely like championed me with that. And then as I got older, I started acting more, and I took a break from acting when I was around like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And then when I was 14, I directed a production of the musical Spring Awakening at the Stella Adler Theater in Los Angeles. And
I've been to that theater.
that sort of catapulted my wanting to like get back into like directing stuff
Yeah.
more. And a producer who had came and seen that production, or sorry, someone who had produced a film that I worked on when I was a kid came and saw this production, and they were like, hey, like if you ever want to like do something on a bigger scale or something, just hit me up, like if you've got a script or whatever. And I was like, okay. And then a little bit of time passed, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
I sat down, and like summer of 2020 I wrote the first initial draft of what has now become the Blue Rose.
So you actually used your time wisely. Not all of us did. I think a lot of us look back and we're like, oh, we probably should have used that time better than just, cooking and, binge watching stuff.
I know a lot of people feel very different ways about the pandemic and everything that happened in those years, but it was I feel like it was good for me in a way. Like I think that I got a lot out of that. I did lose a lot as well because I was like 15, so I like essentially lost like all of my high school years.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't get that back. I mean, those are so important.
Yeah, I had like a masked socially distanced graduation too. Like it's it was a lot, but yeah, I did I guess, spend my time somewhat wisely by sitting down and like putting pen to paper and writing the film.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. So let's talk a little bit about the Blue Rose. What before we do though, by the way, my wife and I loved Artie in Wet Hot American Summer. We thought you were terrific. So throw that out.
That's so funny. Thank you. I last year for Halloween, um I don't know where my shirt went, my campfire wood shirt. So I like went and ordered like a knockoff one like on Etsy or something. And my plan was to like do like dress up like Artie for Halloween, but kind of like sexy Artie. I was gonna like crop it and like whatever. And then the strike happened, and there's like a rule in the strike or something where it's like for Halloween you can't dress as a character you've played before or like something so random.
It seems silly. That part seems a little silly.
Something so just like so out of left field.
Yeah.
And I was like, my Halloween costume is gone. Like, what am I gonna do? So maybe I'll do that this year. But I appreciate you saying that. I as I get older, I really do recognize like how kind of iconic like it was to be in the revival of Wet Hot, because you really don't get to like that opportunity doesn't come
That's right.
every day to like be able to be a part of like a franchise's legacy. And so it's very cool to me that like I got to do something like that like so many years after like I wasn't even alive when the first movie was made. Right.
Well, and it's such a cult film, you know.
I mean, like to be able to be in like a prequel TV show to a cult movie that the majority of the cast is back for is wild. And it's something that like I look back on and like I wish that I had fully, and I was like 9 or like 10, so like I wish I had fully like grasped the scope of what
it was. But you can't at that age.
Yeah, you can't. But I think now I look back and I'm like, that's so sick that like I got to be a part of Wet Hot American Summer. Was really bummed that I didn't come back for the second season.
We were too.
It wouldn't have made any sense, but whatever. But yeah, and also to be like kind of a not a beloved character, or maybe
I think you were kind of beloved. We loved you.
I think definitely like, you know, it kind of reminds me a bit of how Donna from Twin Peaks is like a beloved character, and for the whole show it's played by Lara Flynn Boyle, and then for some reason in the movie it's played by Moira Kelly. I feel like the Moira Kelly of Wet Hot American Summer. Like I just like popped in for like to fill this role and then like dipped back out, and yeah, I don't know.
Funny. Yeah, I like that though. That's a good take on it.
Yeah.
I think. Well, and I was prepping for our interview over the weekend, and when I'm working, I normally have just whatever playing in the background, just so I'm not just sitting there in silence. And your Two Broke Girls came on, and I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, I'm doing that, and I look up, and I'm like, huh.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, it's so I think that was you. It was a Two Broke Girls episode, and the character's name was Josh. And I thought that was you, but maybe not.
That's crazy, because I was just talking about in an interview the other day how I can't find that episode anymore.
Yeah, it was. Let me see. I couldn't even tell you the station, but it was just a rerun. And they were doing, it was like a block where it
was like playing on cable.
It was on, yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah, there was 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and it was in there.
That's crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe that.
because that wasn't the show that I normally watched. I've seen episodes, but I've never
Yeah,
really like
yeah.
watched the whole series. And I think I was watching maybe Friends or something, but when it ended, their block of Two
So,
Broke Girls started.
that's so crazy to me because I've never seen that scene
Well, I'm
before.
glad that it was you because you did a good job. But I
Maybe it
started
was.
doubting myself. I was like,
I
well,
don't
maybe
know.
that wasn't him. But yeah.
Oh, it also could have not been me. Also, because because what had happened was the initial episode that I was signed on for,
Yeah.
um, they cut our scene, but our scene was like a cold opening scene, so they could have like put it in at any other episode and it would have worked. And so that was the plan. So I never found out what episode it actually wound up in.
Oh, well,
So
then I'm on a mission now. I'm gonna try to find it
yeah,
for you, and I'll send
let
you
me
the
know.
like
Let
I'll
me
I'll tape it and then I'll send you the clip.
yeah,
I'll try to find it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the Blue Rose.
Yeah.
So it's on demand, I think now, right? It's out now.
It is out now,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. I think I've got my wife's out of town this weekend, so I'm having all my buddies come to the studio and we're gonna watch it in studio. So we'll probably have 10 or 12 of us checking it out.
That's so scary. That's
Well,
so
and I know, and if it's scary at all, I'll have my eyes closed because I'm a chicken. But
no, the movie's not scary. It's just really fucking weird. Like
I know,
it's
but
just
that's kind of cool. That's why we wanted to do it. Like we decided this would be just a more of a guys endeavor. We check
that
it.
is so funny to me that a bunch of guys are
Yeah, yeah.
getting to sit down and watch Blue Rose. That is so
I
funny.
think I think there's going to be like at least 10, maybe 12.
To me, that film is not like it's not a boys' night movie. Like it's not a boys' night movie. Like Blue Rose is like when you're like with your girls and you're like
Well, then okay, then I may have to tape it and let you know
it's definitely
how that goes.
I think Blue Rose is definitely it's like for the girls and the gays, but the guys like might like it. So I'm
But
excited to like
it's weird enough that I think we will. I
okay.
think we will. But I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what's the movie about, and where did you come up with the idea?
Um it's about two detectives in LA in the 1950s
Yeah.
and they
Is that a time period you've always wanted to do? What made you choose the time period?
I think I'm so bored by modern aesthetics. Like
Yeah.
I don't find anything inspiring about them. Like any type of like futurism aesthetics or anything that I feel like is like 1988 and beyond.
Yeah.
I can't really find a lot that inspires me artistically. Um so I've always been some like I live in a Victorian house. Like
Yeah.
I try to like curate everything I do to be very like specific to what I like and what I feel connected to. And I think that era has always been fascinating to me because that was like the era my grandparents grew up in. And
Sure.
um so I and I've always just been fascinated by like the music and the movies and the fashion and um I loved the way people dressed.
Oh, it was a terrific fashion era, I think.
So I mean I think I feel I don't want to be one of those people who is like I was born in the wrong generation because I don't think that I was, but I do definitely feel like I have like a very big connection to like the past and like nostalgia and um
Has that always been you, or did someone in your family also have that kind of influenced you?
oh it was just it's just me.
Yeah.
Like my mother is very into sort of like sleek, cold, austere
A
sort
lot of
of
people are for that. Yeah.
like brutalist stuff that I just makes it just makes me
My
so
my wife's brother's very into that type of
it's I'm
style, and
it
it can
irks
look okay, but it's kind of
me.
it's hard to get comfortable in that type.
I don't think it ever looks good. I think people think it looks good because it's just like the standard to like say something looks good. Like I objectively I think it's also ugly. Like I think it's also ugly. Um but then in that same, you know, breath, I'm sure many people think the same thing about like Victorian houses and like, you know,
Well, it is. It's all opinion.
I love like shitty like 1960s 1970s like old grandma homes that are like wood paneled and shit. Like
I do too.
I love that. Like that it
That's how
means
I grew up. I was
yeah,
a
it
kid in the
means
'70s, so
it like
I know that.
it like satisfies something inside of me and like I don't know. I so you know, I think like there's a lot of aesthetics and a lot of things that like I like that like a lot of people don't like. But I my point is I am not really inspired by modernities, and so I take a lot of inspiration from the past. And I think the 1950s is one of many favorite eras that I have, specifically in American culture. I'm very mesmerized and inspired by Americana and um, just America in general and the way that Americans interact with each other. And like I like don't know if I ever foresee myself making a film that like is not American, if that makes any
It does.
sense.
Well,
I'm very
so the Blue Rose is set in the '50s, and it's a detective story. I mean, is it a noir or is
I
it?
think it's a noir that doesn't look or really feel like an like it takes the sort of general like structure of a noir, but the themes that we're exploring are very different, and also the visual style is very vibrant and almost like technicolor. And then there's also a lot of pastel moments in the
Yeah,
film as well that are very dreamy. And you don't really see stuff like that in older noir films because they're all black and white.
right, right.
And then more like newer like neo noir films sort of adapt that same sort of aesthetic, and it's very dark looking and it's very bleak.
Right.
And I what's interesting about Blue Rose is how vibrant and colorful it is, and how that is almost what tricks you in a way, because it is a psychological horror in a sense as well. So it like hooks you with these like very beautiful images and color schemes, but we delve into some pretty like horrifying.
Well, yeah. So it's a detective story, but what's the actual story about?
So two detectives get signed on to a homicide case
Yeah.
in LA in the 1950s, and they, as they're sort of sinking deeper into the case, they start realizing that it's not as cut and dry as a typical homicide case would
Yeah.
be. And it's very there's supernatural forces at work. um and they basically just kind of they're trying to solve this murder mystery, but us as the audience is trying to figure out everything else,
Right. What's happening?
because our murderer is revealed in like the first scene of the movie.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's a little different.
we show off our killer right off the bat, and then follow these detectives trying to solve the mystery to catch that killer that they don't know. It's different. This film is very different.
Well, that's the reason we wanted to get together and watch it, because it sounds different than anything we've scene. I mean, it may take elements from different genres or different films, but it's very unique, which is part of the reason it interested me. And it deals with like nightmares that we all have, right? And kind of showcases some of those. If
Yeah.
I think that's what
I'm very inspired by like dreams and dream logic and like nightmares and whatnot. And a lot of the scenes in the film either came from dreams that I had or dreams that my friend Sophia, who did all of the paintings that are featured throughout the film,
yeah.
She would tell me about these nightmares she would have, and I would write them down, and then I would like put them into the script. And so yeah,
Has she seen it? What does she think of the movie?
She loves it. I mean, it's, the character of Sophie is like partially inspired by her because Sophie is like one of the main characters, and she's uh this artist who paints these very surreal, weird, grotesque paintings.
Yeah.
Um and that character was inspired by my friend Sophia, and all of her paintings that Sophie in the movie paints are real life Sophia's paintings.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you also acting in the film?
Yeah, I play Detective Dalton.
Oh, very nice. Very
Play
nice.
one of the two detectives. So I play Detective Dalton, and Olivia Scott Welch from the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, and this Jen Wexler's The Sacrifice Game. She plays Detective Lily. We've got Danielle Basutti from Insidious.
Yeah, I've had Danielle on the program.
Yeah, Danielle. We got Danielle. We have uh, Logan Miller from Escape Room and Love, Simon, and we have Ray Wise from Twin Peaks.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm a big Ray Wise fan. That's a good get. That's a good get. I don't know if you ever saw him in the. He used to be on this TV show playing the devil. It was called Reaper. I don't know if you've ever.
I've heard about this.
It's really good.
And people like will bring this up to me, and I haven't like actually sat down and watched it, but like I like need to see Ray Wise play the devil. Like,
yeah, he's so good. That's the whole reason the show works, because he's so good.
Ray Wise is the reason most things work.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Ray Wise,
He's
Ray Wise,
always good.
Ray Wise is why my movie works. And it barely works, but it works really well with Ray Wise.
See, I don't believe that. I think it's going to do really well because it's so unique. I mean, just the whole premise is very unique because yeah. I mean, when you say 50s detective story, we all kind of think of the same sort of story, right? But you've turned that kind of on its head, and you're bringing in supernatural and all these other elements. I think that makes it really interesting.
Yeah, I think I love noir films, and I love the idea of noir films, but they're, to me, like, I feel like they're sort of drowned in this very aromatic masculine energy. And to me the Blue Rose is like a very, visually at least, very light feminine vibe. And I think part of that is our cast is majority all made up of women, and our producers and executive producers are women, and our production designer was a woman, and it's very, very.
Was that a choice, or did it just kind of develop that way?
Absolutely, it was a choice. I think supporting women in film is super important, especially
100%.
So if I have the opportunity to literally like directly support that, like, I'm going to, you know what I mean?
Is George the director hard on George the actor?
George is hard on George every day. Um, not so much anymore. I think I'm really able to separate the two.
Yeah.
And there's not one that I prefer more than the other. Um, but I am really able to separate the two, and when I watch myself in the film, I don't really like I don't see myself like I'm able to. And I also
You
shot
detach
that.
a little bit.
Yeah, and I shot it we shot it in 2021, so like a lot has changed since then. Um, so I when I watch it, I'm really able to sort of distance myself from like what I am seeing on the screen.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's a valuable tool if you're going to hold multiple
Yeah,
hats.
well, I mean, it's a valuable tool, not even when you're holding multiple hats, but especially if you're an actor who has any type of insecurity. I know like when I was younger and I would like see like Wet Hot American Summer or like other films and stuff that I did when I was younger, I couldn't watch it because I could only see either like mistakes I did or like if my hair was in the wrong place
Right.
like or if I like felt like I looked too chubby in a scene or something like that, like that was all I could focus on. So I'm very glad that like with age and like time, I'm really able to like put a block between my me and like the performance.
Well, mental health wise, that's got to be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Blue Rose, it's out now. I'm assuming we can get it anywhere on demand.
Yeah, you can get it on the Prime Video and Apple TV,
It's
and
weird to say, isn't it?
I think other things you can get it on also, but you can get it on anywhere you want. Okay, I don't care if it's Apple TV or Prime Video. You can do whatever you want. But I think there's more places. I think Fandango maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not good at I'm like not good at like plugging where everything's at. Also because I feel like I don't know where it's all at.
Well, you did. You've already had how many hats on? You directed, you wrote it, you starred in it. Let somebody
I
else figure that out.
yeah, I people often ask me in interviews like, what's your next project? And I'm like, do we always have to be having like do we have to have another project in the can? Like can we just like appreciate like the one that we do have, and like can I take a
Maybe they're just wanting to see more of you or more
no
of your
I
work.
no but I think I definitely, since this film has been out, I felt like a huge weight taken off
Oh,
of
I'm sure.
my shoulders.
How
So
long was the shoot? How long did it take you to film it?
well, we shot for 4 weeks.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Really short. um and yeah, so wrote it 2020, shot 2021, 2022, editing 2023, festivals. Now we're out
Yeah.
finally.
Have you
2020.
gotten some festival love for it?
Yeah, Fright Fest was really great. Fog Fest was really great. We played a festival in Brazil. Um, yeah, uh, I've had a lovely time doing the festival.
Film festivals are fun. That's a
Film
good
festivals
thing.
are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
We spent we were in Sundance or at Sundance in 2020, and like we got back from Sundance, and the next week everything shut down.
That's cool. I went to Sundance, I think either 2015 or 2016, and
Did it
got
surprise you how small of an area it is? It's not very big.
well. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's really only that one main
Yeah.
strip,
Yeah. It's like a couple blocks, maybe.
and then there's like shuttles that'll take you to like the different
Yeah.
screenings or whatever. But I remember I saw so many movies when I was there that are like now. It's so cool like getting to like go to a festival and like see all of these films ahead of time and then see like how big
Yeah.
they wind up. Because I remember I saw The Greasy Strangler uh, which I have not seen since I saw it in the theater at Sundance. Sing Street, which is
I've seen that.
one of my favorite movies. I got to see premiere there. So yeah, I would love to go back to Sundance just as like a visitor and get to.
It made me laugh because everybody's so bundled up because it's so cold. And we saw pictures. We'd see, celebrities tweeting out pictures or whatever, and we'd be like, we were standing right next to them. Had no idea who it was because all you could see was the eyes.
Yeah.
They were completely covered. I don't know. Amused me. Have you run into David Arquette since back then?
It's so funny. Yeah, I actually have. Um, I so in LA there's a marionette theater called Bob Baker's Marionette.
Okay. Yeah.
And they do I think every year they do like a park day or like a festival or something. And I went to it. And they have like a ton of different vendors and different performances and stuff, and it's really cute. And David owns the rights to Bozo the Clown, and so he is Bozo now, like officially, like he is the official Bozo the Clown.
I did not know that.
And Bozo was doing a show at the Bob Baker Marionette Park Day. And afterwards, I watched it, and afterwards I like went up and like tapped him in full Bozo costume. And I just had a lovely little short, sweet conversation.
Did he remember you?
Oh yeah, he did. At first, I think we've gone like years at a time not having physically seen each other. Right. But like we follow each other on Instagram, and he keeps up with me, and
sure,
I think that's cool. And
it is cool.
Yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, I had no idea he was playing Bozo because I grew up, watching the Bozo reruns. I wasn't old enough to see the original, but in reruns, especially when cable TV first came out, like TBS especially, they would show the stuff from the 50s and 60s because they were looking for content. So that's a lot of what I watch. So you got a lot of Bozo, Three Stooges, Little Rascals, that type of stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, he's Bozo. He's Bozo.
That kind of cracks me up. I kind of love that. He's probably really good at it.
Yeah, and he loves it too. Like he loves doing it. I remember one time before he actually had gotten the rights to be Bozo, I went trick-or-treating with him and his wife and his daughter, and he was dressed up as Bozo. And it brings him so much joy. He like turns into like a little kid again when he's like doing Bozo, and I think that's really special and really cool.
So can I expect you to write a movie at some point that will have David in it?
Well, it's funny. I think we had thought about that for Blue Rose, but it didn't wind up happening. But yeah, I mean, if he's down, I'm down.
So. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, George, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. I can't wait for this weekend. You haven't scared me off. I'm bringing them over. We're going to check it out.
Let me know what you guys think of it.
Yeah. It should be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them any warning or a heads up.
No. It's better to go in completely.
Yeah. I won't tell them a thing. We'll just see how it goes. So a couple of things, George, before I let you go. Anything else that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
No.
I know. We just had that conversation, but
I'm working on my mental health and my ever-growing career.
Well, how do you unwind? What's your way of relaxing, recharging type?
I play Roblox.
Yeah.
like a 5-year-old. I collect a lot of like antiques and
That's cool.
vintage toys, and yeah, and every once in a while, well, I love to watch movies. Like I just love watching movies. I love watching movies. um yeah, like just
Have you
like
been to the theater recently? What was the last movie you saw?
the last movie I saw was Cuckoo.
Oh, was it any good?
I liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I love hanging out with my vintage toys, my creepy dolls, and just like lighting up a joint and like watching like a like an old weird movie. There's nothing to me, there is nothing better than that. Like that
Yeah, that
is
doesn't sound so bad.
no.
I could do that. That's not
Yeah.
bad. Well, so last thing, Georgia, where can we find you on social media?
I only have Instagram. And you can find me at Spooky George on Instagram, but all of the O's are zeros.
Oh, I like that.
So because Spooky George with just O's was taken. So I had to
Of course it was, right?
I had to improvise. Yeah.
There's always that one guy. He's probably not even using it.
Exactly. There's just George Barron is taken, and it every day that goes by that I see that account like exists, there's no posts on it, there's no followers on
There
it.
never is.
Every time I see that account, like my blood just like boils because I just want that Instagram handle so bad.
I know.
But
Well, we used the name MeisterCon, and we're like, nobody's going to have this. Somebody had it.
that's funny.
Had to put an underscore. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And same thing, they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, so it's Spooky George for now until that account, like, I guess.
We'll make some calls. We're gonna get that done.
Yeah. I will get the George Barron Instagram handle one day. As of right now, I don't have it.
You'll get it, and then you'll be like, I kind of like Spooky George.
Yeah, I think I miss it. Yeah.
All right, George, hold on one second. Hope you enjoyed that talented George Barron. I'm excited to see the Blue Rose. I've watched the trailer, and the color scheme that he's using is amazing. It pops when you watch, and and if you've ever watched the show Pushing Daisies, it kind of reminds me of that color scheme wise, not topic wise or material wise, but color scheme wise, and maybe a little bit of Blue Velvet as well, which I think are pretty good. That's not bad company to be in. The story sounds amazing. George is a talented actor. I'm excited to see what he can do as the director and the writer. Good for him, and good for him for sitting down in 2020 and knocking this out. That's awesome. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you will support George and check out the Blue Rose. It's out now. I'll let you know what I think, but I can already tell you I'm going to love it. I just from the trailer I can tell I'm going to love it. So. But I'll give you some more after I watch it. We'll get some more. Hit most of the things we wanted to mention. He also had a part on the show Teachers that he was very good in as well. I'm so glad that he was actually into Broke Girls, because I was getting I was like, well, maybe I didn't see what it looked like George, but I thought maybe I was making that up. But sounds like it he actually did film a scene. He just wasn't sure what episode it was in. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you for being here. Definitely don't take you for granted. We're a father and son team, small town West Virginia. Absolutely love what we're doing. We've been doing it now for about 5.5 years. Today we put out episode 828. You can find all of those audio and video versions on our website, meistercon.com. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. If you go there, we would really appreciate that. It would really help us out. It's free. And please check us out on IMDb. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. I can't believe it. I think it's due to the wonderful guests that we're able to get on the show, but just very grateful, humbled, thankful. And I hope you'll check us out on there. If you go on IMDb, look up the Too Opinionated podcast. It'll list everybody that has been on the show, and we're closing in on like 1,000 guests. So we've been pretty prolific, and I know that you'll find tons of people that you're fans of or curious about. So definitely check us out on IMDb. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.